All right, hello everyone. My name is Christopher Luck. I'm the IBPA Director of Membership and Member Services, and this is the Get to Know Your IBPA Member Benefits webinar series. So this is all about getting to know all the incredible member benefits that are available to you. And I'm excited today because we are talking about IBPA's marketing programs. And it's really cool because there are so many of them, and they're all intended to help you get into different markets, get attention for your books. So today, to talk about that, is my wonderful colleague and friend. Lee, you're my friend. It's IBPA's Director of Education and Programs, Lee Wind. Welcome.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Christopher. I really appreciate this opportunity. And I have slides, so let's turn the slides on, shall we? Okay. Yeah, so this is an overview of our marketing programs. And when I say marketing, I mean book marketing, because we're the Independent Book Publishers Association. So let's go into it. So IBPA, we talk about always having sort of like three main things that we do: advocacy, education, and tools for success. So today, and the basic point of that is that like advocacy is trying to like stand up for indie publishers and level the playing field. Books are judged by the quality of the book and not by who published it or what was the business model behind it. Education is sort of trying to empower all of our members to have their books both be as professional as possible and also set up for success. And then tools for success includes a lot of these book marketing programs that we're going to talk about. So let's start out with defining the difference between marketing and public relations. So marketing, as I see it, is really about building your list, your community, the people that you have their direct connection to. It's like your email list is a great example, right? Like for your publishing house, and then public relations is you're getting in front of other people's audiences. So if you get onto somebody's podcast, that's like another bubble, right? That's another audience you're getting in front of. So these two things sort of work in tandem, and sometimes a single program does both, but I think it's a very helpful distinction. Let's also talk about goals for a minute. There's multiple goals that you could have. So, it could be, among those could be building your brand. It could be building awareness of a single title. It could be sales of a single title. And you may be like, well, Lee, what's the difference between awareness and sales? Well, people need to know about your book before they're going to commit to buying your book. And also sometimes those aren't the same people. Like if you're publishing children's or middle grade, you're probably, the kids themselves are not the ones buying the book. You're really marketing to the gatekeepers, the parents, the teachers, the librarians. And so there's all these different sort of levels to consider. And then of course, we can talk about whether you're targeting consumers or the trade. So are you actually directly marketing to the people that are going to be reading your books and buying your books, or are you trying to reach sort of what we call the trade, which are, we'll go into it, but it's more the people that serve as the middle people in this transaction between the publisher and the reading audience. So like a librarian is a trade, it would be part of the trade, a bookseller that might bring your book into their bookstore, that kind of thing. So let's talk about consumers for a minute. So there are a bunch of different elements in terms of trying to reach consumers. You want to build buzz and awareness. You want to make sure your book is available to them to purchase. You want to have social proof that it's not just you that says that your book is good, but that other people say that this is a book worthwhile. The sort of point of purchase, and they're the ones that do purchase. Consumer reviews is another sort of form of social proof. And the idea of a repeat customer, or someone that likes one of your books might like other of the books you publish. And then metadata, I have it in that funny font because metadata is sort of invisible to the consumer, but it actually powers how consumers find out about your book. For IBPA members, this is an amazing resource. It's called the Metadata Resource Center. You can find it under resources on the IBPA website. And what is so helpful is that we've done a lot of webinars specifically about metadata and how to sort of make over your metadata. So you can see a list on the left This is sort of the table of contents of the Metadata Resource Center. We have a downloadable PDF that's a metadata checklist. We have a bunch of tools that can help you find keywords and things. And also we even offer a expert consultations called our Metadata Makeovers, which is $249 to work with a metadata expert on one book, sort of optimizing that book's metadata, specifically looking at the author bio, the title description, and the keywords. So definitely something to check out. So speaking about consumers, we actually are launching in 2021, we're launching 2 different new consumer marketing programs. So the first one on the left, you see it's called the Booky Call book dating app. This is super cool. It's on a phone, and they're basically using the technology and the sort of algorithmic back end of a dating profile, of a dating app for books. And they have a creative staff, and they create a profile, like a dating profile for your book. And then people that are users on this free dating app scroll through either left or right, depending on their interest, and it starts to learn what kind of books they like. And then it DMs, if somebody likes your book, it DMs them the links to either get it digitally or to get a print edition, meet up in IRL, and or listen to the audiobook, have them whisper in your ear. So it uses that whole sort of metaphor. It's very of sort of dating, but it's also very trendy. Really is growing by leaps and bounds. I think they're getting 3,000 to 5,000 new users a day. They just launched in September 30th of last year, and they're already over 200,000 users. So that is a super cool. IBPA members, before we started, Christopher and I were saying that, a lot of times there's a discount when we do these member benefit things. And the thing here is that being an IBPA member gets you amazing discounts. So here are 2 examples, right? Like normally this is to get one book into the Booky Call library for a year is $299, but IBPA members save $50 off of that. And then there's also a negotiated discount on the additional things like the push notifications and other aspects that they have to help boost your book's profile on the site and get discovered by more consumers. We're also about to launch in March the public radio author interviews. And this is very cool. It's an ongoing program called Insight Daily Radio by this company, EMG Entertainment. I worked with them in the past. They're very cool people. And they do this thing, which is an author interview. They do like an in-depth, like hour-long author interview, and then they edit it down to 5 different 2-minute programs, like mini interviews. And those play 1 a day, Monday through Friday, and on National Public Radio and more than 115 local community radio stations, which is 2.3 million listener impressions. That is normally, it's an expensive program. That's normally $3,000 if you went directly to EMG, but IBPA members pay half of that, $1,500. So I'm very excited that we negotiated the hell out of that. And that's a really, really cool opportunity. Look for that to start in March. There is a page up on our website about it, but it still says in beta. So you can email me if you're interested. And as soon as we officially launch, I will send you an invite to sign up. Okay, so let's talk trade. Most of IBPA programs are directed to the trade, and that is really what we started out. IBPA started more than 35 years ago. I think it was 1983. Over a dozen small indie publishers in Southern California were all thinking about going to the big show in New York to sort of show their books to the trade, right, to booksellers and librarians. But it was very expensive. Trade shows are very expensive to go to, but also to rent the space. So they pooled their resources and they sent one person, Jan Nathan, as their representative for all of their books. And that was the beginning of what has become IBPA. And so that idea of sort of like leveraging the power of community to make things more accessible is a real underlying foundation of a lot of the marketing opportunities that we offer at IBPA. Some of these things are very expensive, but if we can share the cost across a bunch of publishers, we can make it more accessible for you. So again, to the trade, like who is the trade? So booksellers, librarians, foreign rights agents, industry media, industry influencers. There's also creators and other publishers, just to kind of talk about like who are we reaching. And so mainly these are the kinds of programs that IBPA has been doing. Publications like our bookstore catalogs and magazine, trade magazine advertising. There are 2 conferences that we go to annually when they happen, the American Library Association main conference, and then Frankfurt for foreign rights. And then we run a bunch of programs that help reach other aspects of the trade. So the library Eblasts, the IBPA Benjamin Franklin Awards, media outreach. NetGalley is a cool thing. It kind of covers trade and consumers. We'll get into that a little bit later. And then, so we came up with this icon examples, right? So are you building buzz? Are you reaching booksellers? That's a little bookstore. Are you reaching librarians? That's the figure with the sort of in the center of the book. Is it about foreign rights agents, which is the globe, or is it IBPA's award consideration? So this is sort of a sort of overview of the different icons. And then we created this fun little chart, which is sort of helping, this is in the center spread of the IBPA Independent Magazine, which comes out every 2 months. And it sort of helps you see what are the upcoming deadlines, but also what are a lot of our programs. And those are, the rows are our different programs. Here's a close-up view of it. We're not going to go over all of it today. It seems really overwhelming, but it's just a fun way of tracking, this gives you buzz and it reaches both bookseller, like Foreword reviews, the 4th line down. Foreword reviews advertising, it builds buzz, it reaches booksellers, and it reaches librarians. Cool. And then the next registration date for that. So again, with an eye to what our goal is, awareness of a single title, building your brand, sales of a single title. When we talk about sales of a single title, for both bookstores and librarians, there are a few things you want to think about in terms of setting yourself up for success. Now, I think this is kind of funny because I joke that a big part of my job is telling people not to spend money on our programs if they're not ready. And that goes to IBPA being a nonprofit, and we don't want to take your money unless we can actually deliver for you and offer you value. That's the great thing about being a nonprofit, is that our primary goal is to be of service. And accordingly, there are a couple of things to keep in mind before you participate in some of our programs. So for bookstores, you have to think about, how does a bookstore order your book? And is it done in a way that they normally order their books? Just think for a moment, IBPA has over 4,000 members at this point. It is very unrealistic for a bookstore to want to open an individual account with each publisher. So they want to be able to order it from the people they normally order from. And they want to do it at terms that they are comfortable with. So at a particular discount, a lot of times they want to be able to return the book if it doesn't sell. And so when they are looking at the decision about, do they want to bring this book into their store to hopefully sell to their clients, there are 3 things that they ask themselves. And the more of these 3 things you have, the better off you are and the better chance you have of a bookstore kind of going for it. Is someone going to walk in off the street and ask for it by name? Is someone on the staff going to be so excited about the book they're going to hand sell it to the next person that walks in the door? And the third is there something about the book, the title, the cover design, that they think it's going to sell itself? And so then instead of shelving it, spine out, they're going to shelve it face out, and hope that someone walking by will stop and pick it up and buy it. So the more of those 3 things you have, the better chance you have of a bookstore taking the chance on bringing your book in. And again, you don't want them to bring your book in if it's not going to sell, because then they're going to return it, and everybody loses. That's not good for anybody, right? Because every inch of shelf space has to deliver for a bookstore. So that's what they're thinking about, right? Like they're running a business. Also, it doesn't help you as the publisher to have the book returned. That's expensive. For libraries, think about how a library orders a book. Also, a librarian does not particularly want to start 4,000 separate accounts to bring in indie titles. So how do they order it? They often have to justify their purchases to someone higher up in the sort of the library bureaucracy. So a lot of times it's very helpful to have trade reviews. They can be editorial reviews are amazing, but also some of the paid reviews that are trade reviews are seen as, help your book, help it be clear that your book isn't just you saying it's great, right? It's other people saying it's great, and it's been vetted in this way. Also, patron interest is a huge part of what a library looks for. So both perceived and expressed. So if they think a book is going to be big, that'll help them bring it in. But also if they are getting emails or people are signing on their forms on the library requesting your book, that can make a difference. And actually, I think that is an area that is really underutilized in terms of publishers getting their authors and also trying to show libraries that there's demand for their titles. That's a pretty interesting path. Okay, so that's sort of this chart in general. And then when you go to the IBPA website, under store for publishers, you're going to see a list of all these programs. And if you actually click under store for publishers, you're going to see all these cute little boxes that tell you about the different things we do, like the ALA conference that I mentioned and the Frankfurt conference. We even have a bookstore with sort of like vetted books about publishing. Then we have our bookstore catalog. We have the IBPA Benjamin Franklin Award program. We have our magazine. And then we have a bunch of the programs that we're going to be talking about now. So there are 5 of them that we're going to focus on: the bookstore catalog, the library Eblasts, the media outreach program, the NetGalley program, and trade magazine advertising. Okay, how are we doing, Christopher? Okay, shall I continue?
Yeah. I mean, there was just one question that was specific about the one program. Someone was asking, they want to hear about the particular kind of author that would be best fit for the NPR, the interview program that I know you're not going to go into detail here.
Yeah, I think that you have to be cognizant of who the audience is, right? Like, who is that national public radio audience? Who listens to public radio? We haven't launched the program yet. They've been doing Insight Daily Radio for a long time, and I think that I'm happy to have someone email me and we can set up a time to chat about their book specifically. I think that some books will do better on that than others. Even in terms of like the dating app thing, the Booky call, not every genre works, right? The graphic novels don't work. Children's picture books don't work. So yeah, I think that there's definitely some things that work better than others. But interestingly enough, I think both fiction and nonfiction work for both programs. All right, well, let's keep going. So I don't even know what I just did. All right. Okay, let's talk about the bookstore catalog. So this is, and then I just threw the icons on top. So this builds buzz, it reaches bookstores, it is to the trade, and it is, you see that circle public relations? That's because this is really getting in front of other people's audiences. So we've teamed up with 2 different organizations to deliver the bookstore catalog. We do this quarterly. It's on a rotating basis. So right now we are literally this week finalizing the spring 2022 catalog, but you can order spots in the summer 2022 catalog right now. We pay Ingram thousands of dollars to have them digitally share the catalog with their top 3,500 retail accounts. So Ingram Wholesale is this huge, right, like point of access for a lot of bookstores. And so their top 3,500 accounts they are getting an email with a link, with a nice note and the cover image and some interior spreads and a link to the digital version of the catalog. Also, we print 750 copies of the catalog, and we include it, and we pay hundreds of dollars to the American Booksellers Association to include one catalog in each of their box mailings that go out every 2 months to the most active 750 indie-bound bookstores. So some of those bookstores are getting it twice, once digitally and once in print, but we think that's great because we know that multiple impressions help. And then also we have our own house list of indie bookstores that have told us they're interested in seeing stuff from our members. And so we are digitally sending, as an email with a link to the PDF, we are sending that catalog to them as well. Right now, our house list is about 280 stores. So that's cool. You have the option of doing a single, a full page, which you can do 1 to 4 titles on. And also you can do a quarter page ad that has, buying a quarter page means that's one title. And then it's organized by the category. So that's a really cool opportunity. But again, don't do it unless you feel like you're well set up for bookstore interest. I think that when I started at IBPA, that was a big thing, that we had a lot of people doing it because they were excited to reach bookstores, and that's great, but be realistic about what the uptake might be on it. And also, a lot of these programs work in synergy with each other. So yes, Christopher, I see you popping in.
Looks like I have a question. So we have a member, Jennifer, who said, would you wait as a publisher to do the Bookstore Catalog until the book is released, or is it okay to do it when it's in pre-order?
Yes, both. We have a lot of publishers using this to put a spotlight on their backlist titles that they feel are active and of interest to bookstores. And we have publishers that are using it to let bookstores know about stuff coming out, about their front list titles. I would say right now the catalog is about 40% titles about to be published and 60% backlist. But really, you can do it however you want. We don't limit it to front list titles. We really want it to be of the most value to our members. I will say that we've had people run repeat ads for the same book in the catalog, and I think that that is fine if there's an element of it that's evergreen. I don't know that I would repeat more than a year for the same title unless you had something cool, really cool happen for the title. It won some big award, or there was some other reason to sort of like, pitch it in a different way. But we don't want it to be like, we want it to work well for you. And we'll talk about repeats for some of our other programs as well. Library Market Eblasts. I adore this program because I really think library sales are awesome because they don't return it. And also a single library sale can mean multiple readers. Hopefully it does mean multiple readers. So what the Library Market Eblasts are is that we team up with a company called Library Works. They used to be called the Librarian Yellow Pages. And we send an email out that has 15 titles. Here's an example of like 5 titles from a few of our emails. And it goes to a pool of librarians within a very specific category. So we have 6 categories. We have the public library, children's and YA librarians. And then we have public library, adult librarians. And we split that up into 2 lists. We send one email that's about 15 fiction titles and another that's about 15 nonfiction titles to the adult library, public librarians. And then we also do emails, eblasts to over 5,000 elementary school librarians. And then another one that goes out to over 5,000 middle and high school librarians. And then another one that goes out to over 5,000 college and academic librarians. So again, these can be really expensive if you're doing them by yourself, but by gathering 15 different publishers, everybody is only paying $199 if they're an IBPA member, and for their single title in it. And it's a really cool way to not just present your book to this very large group of librarians, but if a librarian clicks on the title for Pop is Free Day or the More button, that gets logged by Library Works. And then we get a spreadsheet that then we share with you as the publisher. So The average number of librarian leads is between 20 and 40. So this is a really amazing way to start to build a list of librarians that are interested in what you're publishing. I think that's amazing because if they loved one book, they may be interested in your other books, and you can add them to your email list. And it's a way for you to sort of build as a publishing house, it's a way for you to build a list of people that are interested in what you're doing. I think that is amazing and super valuable and a great value for your money. So I love this program. When I started at IBPA 4.5 years ago, we did 15 of these a year. We upped that to 24 a year for a few years. They constantly sell out. So this year in 2022, we are doing 30 of them, which sounds like a lot, but they're 12 months and we're making sure no librarian is getting it too often. But they're continuing to sell out. So if you want to get on this, if you want the opportunity to get on it and it's sold out, just email me and I have an early notification list. And when I open up the reservations for the next quarter, that's how we do it. We sort of open them up quarter by quarter. Then you'll get an email a few days before we blast it out to the full IBPA membership. So that's well worth doing. I definitely have about like 25 people already who've requested early notification. And I have a list and then I just send it out. So that's a cool way to make sure you get in. Oh, and just going to our icons, there's a B for Buzz. It reaches librarians. It's trade because librarians are trade. It's public relations because we're getting your book in front of LibraryWorks group of librarians. And it's also marketing because you start to build your own list of librarians. During the pandemic, this has actually done extremely well, this program. And so that's been very exciting. Also, I'll just point out that, where was I going with that? I don't know, but you know what? We'll go to the next page because I also wanted to let you know that because we've had a bunch of publishers request it, we do now offer a dedicated publisher eblast. So the upside of this is that it is just it's just your books between 1 and 15. And it goes to 10,000 librarians. We can schedule it pretty much whenever you want. So there's a lot of flexibility. The challenge of it is that there's no other publisher to share the expense with. So it is much more expensive. You've lost the sort of like the power of the cooperative, right? You don't have other publishers sharing the cost, but you gain a lot of, and you get all the leads. So we have had, I don't know, about 15 publishers do this so far in the couple of years we've been offering it. It is a nice thing to know that exists. I will also mention that in addition to LibraryWorks, gigantic, I think they have 68,000 librarians overall in their lists. And so they pull a random, 5,000, or in this case, 10,000 or 20,000. In addition to that, we also have our IBPA house list of librarians, because when we go to the American Library Association, we scan people's badges, all the librarians that come to our booth that express interest in indie published titles. And so we add that to LibraryWorks list. So I can tell you that it's always going to be more than 10,000 or more than 5,000, but I don't know how many more because I don't own their list. I can't see their list. And so it gets deduped out of my eyesight. So we know it's more, but we don't know exactly how many more. Christopher, we got a question.
Yeah. So there's some questions I thought it'd be good for you to clarify for everyone. The first is from Charles. Do you address books that deal with technology or only books of general audience interest? And I'm assuming this is kind of for all the programs.
So it depends on the book. I mean, certainly for college and academic libraries, if it's like a reference book or something very specific and technical, that would be a good market. Think about who you're trying to reach and where they are. We've had a lot of success with the college and academic library eblasts for pretty technical books. But also if the books have, a sort of consumer forward facing kind of thing, and it's not just sort of a reference. I mean, think about it, libraries do have reference books. So then that might change which kind of librarian you're trying to reach. So the answer is a qualified yes.
Yeah, and also in terms of all of our programs, IBPA is not going through and saying, like we don't vet them like your book doesn't seem like a good fit for this program or like because of the content. We'll give you suggestions like Lee was saying about the bookstore in terms of what he thinks might be something that bookstores might carry, but we're not here to tell you if your book's good enough or something. So each program fits any genre, basically. And Lee, another question that would be good for everyone to understand. So Gretchen was asking, in terms of like the library market Eblast, do you select, like how does IBPA select the 15 titles that go in that program?
Oh, first come, first serve. The first 15 people to reserve a spot get a spot. And then the order of them within the email is alphabetical by category and then title. So we don't know where your where your book is going to be in that 15 until all 15 spots are reserved, and we have the information for all 15 books. So something I'll just share now, I could share it at any point, but is that whenever you order any program from IBPA, you're going to get, as soon as you place your reservation, you're going to get 2 emails from our system. One will say, thank you for your order. And the other will say, click here to download the next steps document. And that is a very in-depth document. It's a PDF that you download, and it explains you step by step everything you need to do to prepare your materials, the link to the online form where you're going to fill out your information and upload your cover image and things like that, and then what to expect as the things that follow. So definitely that is something to read very carefully once you've done it. And if you have questions, you're always welcome to reach out to me. I can also help connect you to any of the other people on our staff that can answer your question more specifically.
Yeah, and on that note, Lee, regarding like the library market Eblast, you had talked about backlist versus new titles for the Bookstore Catalog. So people are wondering for the library market Eblast, is it the same? Like, can a book be published?
It's exactly the same. We've had people do books that are 3 years old on the library Eblast list. Again, if you're doing an older title, think about how you can pitch it to be more relevant to right now, right? Like, how do you tie it in? But it also works for frontlist titles. I don't think it's helpful for it to be too early. I think that you want it to be in that same quarter, like within 3 months of publication. I think someone came to me and they have, my book comes out in 6 months. Should I do it? And I was like, no, I think you should wait. And then, but yeah, and in terms of repeating, I definitely feel like because LibraryWorks is pulling a random sampling of 5,000, you can do up to four times. So for a year, you could, well, quarterly, I think you could run the same book 4 times. But after that, we've had publishers do 6, and then we've really seen that 5th and 6th time, they weren't doing as well. So again, our point is to set you up for success and to only take your money for these programs if it will really help you. So I think 4 is a good guideline in general in terms of if you wanted to repeat it. Interestingly enough, because of the library market Eblast, the way it's set up, we can't offer a discount on repeat ads. But going back to the Bookstore Catalog, if you do a repeat ad, we do give you a 10% discount because it's faster for us. Our designer doesn't have to spend the time working on it. Just by the nature of the program, we have that flexibility to offer that discount. Let's go to our next, talking about the media outreach program. Okay, I do love this program too, because PR is expensive. And hiring a PR company where you're having them work just on your book and you're leaning into their personal connections can be amazing, but it can also be really expensive. It could be like $3,000 a month for 5 months contract. That is a lot of money. So we were trying to figure out, well, what can we offer our members? So we signed up for something called Meltwater, which is a database that is updated daily of media people and their contacts and what they are writing about and covering, from radio and TV to podcasts to consumer magazines to newspapers to online to bloggers. It's a whole big database of media contacts. So we spend a lot, thousands and thousands of dollars a year to have access to Meltwater. So what we do is that We offer the media outreach program for IBPA members. You save $200. It's only $350 to have a single email created about your book and then sent to a customized media list of over 3,000 media people. The way that that's super cool is that we're getting the people that say they're interested in books, but if you have like a business book, we're getting the people that are specifically interested in business. If you have like a mystery thriller, we're going to target entertainment people, right? Folks that write about entertainment. Depending on the niche of your book, we can also target media that cover a particular demographic interest. So if you have a book of Black history, we can target media that focus on African American interest. Like there's really a lot of ability to sort of customize that media send list. And then what's really cool is we can also do a keyword search. So if you know a comp title that fits that reach just the audience you wanted to reach, you could also do that and reach those same media people. I think this program is really cool. The average number of media requests is 5. So that basically what we're doing is the email is a pitch saying, would you like a free review copy of this book? We just had our record broken. We had someone do, and if you redo this, if you want to send it again to the same group, we do offer a 50% discount on that. You do have to email me for that as a separate thing, but then we'll run it again with a different subject line about 6 weeks later to try to hit more media with a different subject line. And we did have a publisher do that, and they got over 53 requests. That was really unbelievable and very, very exciting. It was a fiction title. So that was really cool. Prior to that, 29 was the record. But having said that, even a smaller number of media leads can lead to coverage. Recognize that this is no guarantee of coverage. We are offering them the book for their editorial consideration to either review or include in editorial coverage, but they're not guaranteeing that they're going to cover your book if you send them a digital copy or a physical copy. So just set your expectations properly. And then, of course, if you do get a media person that is interested in the book, they go to an online form. Oh, sorry, this is an example. I don't have a lot of examples to show because I need to get permission, but this was my book. So I'm sharing that was published by one of IBPA's members. So it's sort of a description, the cover, some highlight quotes, the story behind the story, which interestingly enough, sometimes just gets picked up and used in media, some interior images if there's something visually interesting about the book, and a bio on the author, and then the publisher and the ISBN information. This is a view inside the database of Meltwater. You can see you can also get additional contacts beyond the 3,000, which between 250 to 400 on the contact list. Again, I can't give you an exact number because it's deduped out of my eyesight, but that's our best guess. And we have had publishers do up to 10 additional, like they've spent double and they've done over 6,000 media list. We're not seeing double results from that, but we are seeing, like 1.5 better results. And then when they click on it, yes, I'd like to see your complimentary review copy, they go to a form on the IBPA website that is customized for your book, and like, please enter your information to receive a complimentary review copy. Oftentimes they will also just email me back because it's coming from my email address. And say, yes, we'd like to interview this author. And then I forward that to you as the publisher as quickly as I can. And thank you for the kind words about my book. I appreciate that, Hannah. Christopher, we have questions?
We do, yeah. And I can say, I'm also an author publisher, so is Lee. And I did the media outreach program for a book that had been published like 3 years. And I got a podcast interview that was perfect audience for my book. So I can personally say that it worked really well for me, and we've had some members in the chat say that it was great for them too. So yeah, you don't have to have like a brand new book. Sometimes it's just this is the first they're hearing about it. So Okay, here's some questions for the Media Outreach Program. Would you recommend this program for self-published authors?
If you are following the sort of the professional standards that IBPA is helping to set out, I think that there's no reason why a book published by an author themselves couldn't do well in this program. I think that you have to make sure that you're go on our resource page. There's actually a checklist for an independently published book. Make sure that you have all those things checked off. I know Terry Ryder's here and was part of the group that built that checklist. But yeah, there's really no reason it wouldn't. It depends a little bit about what your subject matter is, and in terms of how much vetting does it need. I think that in general, author-published books have a higher what do you call it? A higher level to vault to prove that the book is worth someone's time. So it makes that the media that you do get even more important. But this is where you really need to get the book vetted. And I think that if you are publishing your own book, you really want to look into getting some early, blurbs, into trying to get editorial reviews. I think those things are all very important, and we would want to really pitch it in that way with the media outreach program. That look, this book has already been vetted in these ways. We're really excited to tell you about it. But absolutely, there's no reason for any of IBPA's programs that an author-published book can't do well in it.
Absolutely, yeah. And I put in the chat the link to the IBPA's industry standards checklist for professionally published books. We should shorten that word. And check that out. It's very helpful.
And I want to chime in on Molly's question here. Is there support for creation of the content? Yes, but we are going to ask you to, do your best pitch, do your best draft of it, and then we'll build the proof, and then I will work back and forth with you on sort of, finessing the pitch, because we always want people to understand why they're getting it. So I'm not going to write it for you, but you do your draft, and then I'll work with you once we have a proof built on seeing if there are ways that we can make it stronger. Also, sometimes people have reviews and they don't know what to pull, and I can help with that. We definitely want you to understand that for almost all of our programs, you're not designing the ads yourself. Even going back to the Bookstore Catalog, we have a designer on staff. She'll be doing the design, and then we'll send you a proof. Similarly, you just upload your information for the media outreach program. We'll build the email, and then we'll send you a proof. And then we go back and forth to make sure that you're pleased.
Okay, Lee, this is a question for all the programs. Can you support books published internationally in places like Australia for the IBPA programs?
So IBPA's programs are mainly about reaching the US market for books. So I think that unless the book is set up to be distributed in the US, I don't think these programs can help you reach the Australian market in that sense. Like, I don't think Australian librarians are on the list for library works, or that, it's really a domestic list of bookstores that we have. So I'm going to say no, not really. Really, it's about reaching the US market. Certainly the educational programs that we offer, I think that stuff does apply, but no, not really.
Yeah, but to be clear, if you are international as an author, we have a lot of international members that specifically sign up for IBPA because they want to reach the US market. And so if you're looking to get into libraries in the US, get into media in the US, that's why you should become an IBPA member, to reach the US market.
And having said that, we have publisher members that are in Australia that I know about that attend our programs and do our programs, but they've set their books up, if it's print on demand, through Ingram Spark in the US. So, and that's one of the cool things about Ingram, is that they do have all these, offshore, is that the word? These international printing capabilities, print on demand capabilities, which is very neat.
And so Lee, there's a question. about the media outreach program. Do you offer email media outreach to sell us, I guess, as as speakers to give interviews about our books or topics related, or updates about publishing industry in general? I think so. I know I'm trying to figure out the question too. Sorry, Sylvia. We're trying to figure out exactly what you mean. I'll say that like with Lee, with like the media outreach program, as he said, like for the copy of like the Eblasts, for example, like you create the copy and he'll help you finagle it. But in terms of like IBPA, like selling you, like just the program itself is what sells you. But our job is not to like create all the copy to sell you. Like you give us the materials. Hopefully that answers it, but you may rewrite the question, Sylvia, if you can clarify.
So you definitely, people have gotten author interviews through participating in this program. If that's helpful.
Yeah, and the follow-up question, Lee, they're
who
wondering,
media partners?
Yeah, who are your media partners? Are they connected with the book publishing industry or the media in general?
So these aren't our media partners. These are media that are listed in Meltwater, right? The people that it goes to. So they're not partnered in any way with IBPA. We're just facilitating, reaching out to them, offering them a review copy of your book. So it can be very specific. You can say like, I definitely want to hit like, California media in this particular, what was the request? Like you can get very, very specific, but recognize this is a broad net that we're throwing out, right? Like it's a big net. We're sending an email to 3,000 media people, hoping that 5 or more are going to ask to get a copy of your book to consider it. So it's a big net. Now we can certainly customize it and, as best we can. And you tell us like what's the most help. And also media has different lead times, right? Like a consumer magazine, it is February when we are recording this, and a consumer magazine is probably working on their, late summer, early fall issue right now. Like they work really far in ahead, as opposed to like a podcast or a blogger that might be working, on next week's episode or post. So, or a radio show that needs somebody quickly. So there's different lead times for media, and I'm also happy to work with you on, how to best reach it. I have one publisher, they have a book for Father's Day. So we're actually going to do 2 sends, one 4 months early, and then one month before Father's Day, to try to hit both of those sort of like long lead media and then this short turnaround. And also with the idea that that second send might yield more response. So that's always something that you can consider as well.
Those are the questions for the media outreach program. So we can move to the next one if you want.
Cool, yeah. And then also just one of the cool Zoom things is that you should be able to move me smaller and make the slides bigger on your own. There is this little white toggle thing in between the slides and the speaker, and that's in response to Gretchen's question. Okay. NetGalley. Well, I'm not even going to tell you about NetGalley because the person that runs the NetGalley program is right here. Christopher, tell us about NetGalley.
Tis I. All right. So as Lee's been doing, I'm not going to go through every single cost, because as you can see, there's a lot of different variations here, but I'm going to just kind of top level, and in the chat, I'll put in a link. But there's 2 main options. There's a digital galley, which is representative of your book, and then we have the audiobook version that you can also post. And the main reason to do the IBPA NetGalley program is you're trying to get reviews, but you're also trying to get buzz about your book. So NetGalley has over 650,000 readers on their site, and they're made up of book lovers, librarians, educators, booksellers, you name it, media. The majority are book lovers, so they're your average readers who just love books. And if you're looking to get a trade review, as in like Publishers Weekly, Foreword reviews, this is not that. This is kind of your average people out there. And again, some educators and librarians and such, thousands of them on there, but these are regular reviews, and sometimes you can get media where they're interested in like interviewing you or talking to, but again, that's more the media outreach program. Okay, so people were asking in general, should a book be published or not published yet or whatever. So for the NetGalley program, it's both. You can have a book that's not come out yet and you're trying to build buzz beforehand, or you can have a book that hasn't been has been published like 2 or 3 years ago, and maybe you're looking to get more attention to it because you only have 2 reviews, and on that note, in terms of reviews, so NetGalley is in of itself its own universe. So it has, as I said, like 650,000 readers there. So technically, yes, the people who leave reviews on NetGalley can also leave reviews on places like Amazon, Goodreads, and other sites. But it's meant to people on NetGalley to come and look at that page and be interested in your book. You can then reach out to readers who leave reviews if they haven't left it elsewhere. You can email me saying, hey, can I get my reports? And I will then send you reports. And yes, you can email them directly and say, what an amazing review. Can you also leave this on another site like Amazon and Goodreads? But again, the program isn't intended that it's like every single review on NetGalley is going to go everywhere else. This is a universe like Goodreads or other sites that people love books and they come to learn about books. There's also one big distinction between you doing the NetGalley program through IBPA versus you going directly through NetGalley. It's reader approval versus read now. So reader approval means that you as a publisher, everyone who tries to download your book, who is interested, you actually, they send a notice to you saying, are you interested in this person being able to download your book? So they can't download it unless you say that they can. Or there's read now, which means that anybody who is on NetGalley can download your book. Now, IBPA specifically focuses on the read now. We don't do reader approval, and here's why. All of the people who are going through our program, it's all independently published books. There are books on NetGalley that are literally like Michelle Obama, Danielle Steele, right? Stephen King, right? So you're competing against those other books by well-known authors. The whole point of doing a program like this is you're trying to get attention to your book. So if you kind of put up that wall and people have to like go through the process of being approved, they're less likely to give it a chance, right? Because they're like, oh, I don't want to, it's like they're even giving it a chance because they're like, they've never heard of the author before. So you don't want to put up any walls between them and downloading your book and reading it. Also, the Read Now section is one of the most popular pages on NetGalley. So when people go on there, you'll have a better chance of people noticing your book at all. So that's why we do the Read Now. So those are kind of the overall things. Okay, so let me get into some more specifics. Again, we have the digital galley on this page, and there's 2 options. And then we have the audiobook listing, and there's 3 different options. Now, NetGalley, if you go directly through them, they only have 1 option for each. For the digital galley, it's 6 months, and for the audiobook, it's 2 months. So IBPA and NetGalley is amazing. They like independently published books. They want to give a chance, and also we post your book. We do all the work, and so they give IBPA members a discount. And if you go, and I'll post the link in a second, you'll see that we have really, really good rates for all of this. We also have these different promotions that's on the very far right of the screen, and I'll go through the details there. But you only need to get a listing if you're looking for reviews and everything. You're not required to do the promotions. It's just that some people want to get extra exposure, and of course, if you do an extra ad on NetGalley, then yeah, you're going to get extra exposure. But if it's not within your budget, then ideally, yes, if you just post your listing, you should be able to get reviews and attention to your book without needing a promotion. Okay, Lee, thank you. So on the left of the screen, you'll notice it says the Vines. That's an example of what your page is going to look like. It'll have your book cover, it'll have the name of your publishing company, and again, this is for independent publishers and author publishers. So if you're an author publisher and you don't have a name, that's fine to your company. It'll just say your name. And then it'll be a description of your book. You can do things like upload a media kit. I think that's a good idea because it's nice for the people that are in the media and the librarians and such to get a deeper look at your book. It looks a little more professional. It is not required. You do not need to have it. I'm just giving you an option if you want to do it. And then on the right of your screen is an example of NetGalley has these reports. And because we post your book, we are in charge of your listing. So if you need a change to be made to the price, or if you want to view your reports, you will email me and then I will do that stuff for you. So it's not that you can't do that stuff. You're more than welcome to change your description anytime. You can even give a new file. So what happens a lot is this is a chance for readers to kind of find out about your book. Publishers find that readers start saying, I love the book, but the ending was not great. Or I love the book, but I noticed a lot of typos or whatever, right? It's a chance for you as a publisher to go, oh, geez, I need to fix this. So what you can do is then fix the file and then give us a new version and we will upload that new version. And then we'll send you reports, you'll tell us, and then you can email everybody who hasn't downloaded your booklet and say, hey, we noticed there's some errors, here you go, download the new version. Okay, so oh yeah, you can go to the next page.
Sorry about that.
No worries. So there are those promotions, so I'll tell you about those. There's multiple. There's a thing called a category spotlight, and that is, let's say your book is in sci-fi and fantasy. So if at the bottom right, you'll notice on the category of sci-fi and fantasy, at the top of the page will be an ad for your book. So anybody who that day, actually it goes for a whole week. So anybody during that whole week can go to that page for sci-fi and fantasy and they'll be like, oh, what is this book, right? That's some great exposure. We also have a featured placement, and you'll see on the left, it says history and politics. So there's themes. Every week on NetGalley, there's different themes. So this was history and politics. Another week might be the best new books of 2022 or something, right? So you'll go on our page and you'll look at all the themes and then you'll pick which one you want to do. And that one is interesting because there's a page called the Find Titles page on NetGalley. Any single person who's going to download a book on NetGalley has to go to that page. So you're going to have now an ad on the main page on NetGalley, and it's based on theme. And so then people go, oh, what's this? Oh, I like history and politics books. And then it's up to 12 books or 12 to 15 books for the feature placement. The category spotlight, on the other hand, is just one ad for just your book. So, both work well, but there's little differences between the two. Okay, Lee. So now I'm really excited. We have this year in 2022, 2 brand new promotions. There is a NetGalley newsletter bonus section and a NetGalley newsletter banner ad. Now the newsletters are really popular on NetGalley because, like we were talking with Lee about like the media outreach program, it is an Eblast. It goes to literally these go to 25 to 28,000 people, right? And they are targeted. They are based on themes. So if someone loves mystery and thrillers, they will get that email for these books. And there's only about like 15 books in each email. Now those are expensive though. There can be up to $1,000 or more dollars, right? NetGalley's awesome. They created a new thing, so our members get an opportunity to still be in those newsletters, but not as expensive. So they have these different sections. So they're both at the bottom, and one is this bonus section, and it's just your cover. So it's, as you can see, there's up to 5, and then in that same email, then the people who get it will then be able to click on that and download your book. There's also this banner ad, and then that one's cool because it's just about your book, and it's a full ad with text and all this stuff. So I really love these 2 new ones. The newsletters do really well in NetGalley, so I'm hoping more and more people keep using these ones because they're a really exciting new option.
And I just want to chime in that one of the really cool things about NetGalley is also that you get feedback on the cover. Mm-hmm. And like I think here, like cover rating on the bottom right, you can see that that's one of the categories. And for publishers, that can be very useful.
Yeah, and thanks for that point, Lee, because I think some people do, if they see the NetGalley program, and yes, you can absolutely get reviews, but NetGalley is also an incredible place to get feedback from readers. As I said, you have reports. You just email me and we'll send you reports, and they have things like how many likes your cover got, but also why did people want to download it? It asks those questions. So you'll see if like the description is something that enticed readers, or was it the cover, So you get a lot of different types of feedback from readers, and I've had a lot of publishers do this program and they changed the cover or they changed the description or whatever. So this is a great place for you to kind of get feedback of like, oh man, no one likes this description. And that's fine, that's good because your book maybe hasn't been published yet, or even if it has, you get an opportunity to really learn what's working, what's not.
So I want to acknowledge that we're at 11 o'clock, but this is going to be recorded. So if you have to drop out, no worries, get the recording. You can watch the rest of it. We're gonna carry forth.
Yes, there are questions. I'm going to try to answer some of these NetGalley questions that are written. I'm going to try to write. Yeah. Anyway, so thanks. That's the NetGalley program. You can email me. I'll put my email, and I'm happy to always talk to you and answer any other questions.
Okay. Did you want to just answer verbally a couple of the NetGalley questions before we go?
I haven't even looked at them yet because I was just talking.
Okay.
So,
yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me tell you about trade magazine advertising. So this is one of the cool things that we do with 3 different magazines, with Foreword Reviews, with Library Journal, and with Publishers Weekly. And what is neat about this is that this is trade and this is public relations, right? It's getting in front of somebody else's audience, and those audiences are huge. And so, for example, the cover of Publishers Weekly is a very expensive piece of real estate, right? In terms of the trade, it's, I don't know, $12,000 to $14,000 if you were to go to Publishers Weekly directly. But again, because we're able to use the power of the sort of cooperative marketing idea that like we'll share the expense, we do a cover of Publishers Weekly twice a year, and we feature IBPA member titles. You can see the center top of your screen. We put a bunch of covers on there. This is 9, 12, 14 covers. And then each of those books gets a description on the interior of that cover as well. And what's really cool is that it's just a way of getting a lot of attention for your book. And we've had some publishers do very clever things, like the book cover reveal was done on the ad. So I think that that's something to consider. You don't get a list of the people that liked it or anything because it is a print magazine, or there's a digital version as well. But it is interesting to note, like, who are you reaching? Going back for a second, the Foreword Reviews, you get buzz and it reaches bookstores that are interested in indie titles, and also librarians. Library Journal, it reaches librarians. There's also a school library journal. We don't do a cooperative ad in school library journal, but we do have a negotiated discount for IBPA members off of their rack rate. So you could do your own ad in school library journal. And Publishers Weekly reaches both, it reaches both independent bookstores or bookstores in general, reaches librarians, and it also reaches foreign rights agents. And then as you can see, what we do is we do these ads where there are 10 books on a page, and sometimes they look like shelves and sometimes they're just lines. And you can see that the reach is really fascinating, right? Like the Library Journal reaches 100,000 plus library directors, administrators, and staff in public, academic, and special libraries. Publishers Weekly, it's 68,000 booksellers, publishers, public and academic librarians, wholesalers, distributors, educators, agents, and writers. And then Foreword Reviews is 20,000 librarians and booksellers who are indie book lovers. And Foreword Reviews is super cool. Just an extra little shout out to them because they only cover books that they love. So it is something that is really a resource for folks that are interested in indie published titles. And that is sort of an overview of those 5 different programs. This is where they slot into that chart, which hopefully this feels less intimidating now. So these are sort of the realms, right? Trade, consumer, marketing, public relations. And that is the overview. And we can go to questions, and I will turn my stop sharing.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Okay, Lee, I do have a lot of questions. So give me a second.
All right. No worries. We'll do it.
Okay, so Sylvia's clarified her question, so I'm going to read it. She said, we provide the content and copy for the outreach, but she's wondering, is the media outreach, can it be set up so that it like advertises the like publisher or author as an expert to focus on the books, not necessarily just the book, but them as like a speaker about a topic or whatever?
Got it. No is the short answer. The longer answer is the program has been designed to pitch a book. Having said that, a lot of the, not a lot, but some of the responses we get is sounds interesting. We'd like to interview your author. Let's follow up about that author interview. So a lot of those author interview requests are coming through because of the book offer. There's even one media outlet I'm thinking of that they don't even seem to want the book, the review copy. They just want to interview the author. But there's no way to have it be free of promoting a single title at this time. It's just not within the bandwidth of what we're doing. And also, we are the Independent Book Publishers Association. We're not a speakers agency, so it would be kind of weird for us to sort of untether it from pitching a book. I hope that clarifies that.
Thank you, Lee. There were two NetGalley questions, so I wanted to answer those.
Yeah, go for it.
Someone was asking basically the concept of NetGalley. They said, like you pay NetGalley to advertise a free download of your book. So the NetGalley program, yeah, what you're doing is you are giving away a free copy of your book so that readers, one, know it even exists. So there's thousands of readers on there that in general, one of the hardest things, as Lee was mentioning, there's literally millions of books published. So it's really hard for them to just let the world know my book even exists. So this is a little world that is full of book lovers, and these are people that are they love books. So this is a perfect audience to get the word out about your book. And then, yeah, you're giving them a free copy so that then they can read it, and then hopefully they'll leave a great review, and then also they'll tell their friends. It's starting that buzz about your book. So yes, that's the basic concept there.
And I just want to chime in that sometimes people are like, well, I don't want to put the whole book on NetGalley because I don't want it to hurt sales. People that are getting their reads on NetGalley aren't going out and buying the books generally. Like I don't think it hurts your sales to put your book on NetGalley. It just helps raise the profile and the buzz about your book.
Yeah, and look, I'm an author publisher. When I first started, I was like, I just spent thousands of dollars and years of my life publishing this book, and someone's gonna be like, yeah, give it to me for free. I totally get that. But as I've learned more about marketing, it's one of the best ways for you to get the word out is to, just for certain audiences, to give enough people a free copy so that they start the buzz on your book. Because word of mouth is one of the best ways for people to start to get your book sales going up, right? But if no one's read it, you're not going to get people talking about it. So you get this group of people, and then they start talking to their friends about it, everybody, right? Next thing you know, you've actually, it raises your sales. It's the same thing with like the library market, where people think, oh, if I put my book in libraries for free, well, then why are people going to buy it? But that's not what happens. People go to the library, they buy it, they check out books, and then they love the author. And sometimes they buy that same book for their friend because they say, this was amazing here. Anyway, that's a whole other topic.
Or for themselves. I just bought a book that I got from the library, and I loved it so much. And I was like, well, I gotta own this. So
yeah. But I know it's hard. It hurts. I'm like, come on. I spent so much time in this book. I get it. Okay. Someone's asking, they set up the NetGalley program through their publicist originally. And then of course, doing it through IBPA is, yes, much cheaper. So they're wondering, is there a way they can buy the program at IBPA discounts, even using their publicist team? So what I'll say is, if your publicist is a member of IBPA, then we have it set up so that, yes, they can then have their clients use the IBPA programs only at the exact amount that we charge for the programs. But if they're not a member of IBPA, well, then you would have to be the member to get the member rate. Only our members get the member rates, basically.
And I'll just chime in that you can certainly have your publicist team work with you on submitting your book description and stuff, and they can actually even be the ones that fill out the form with the specifics for each program. And I will just say that even though we run a lot of programs, just because you've given us the book information for the Publisher's Weekly ad doesn't mean that we have your book information sufficiently to do the Library Eblasts program. Like every program has different requirements, and so you will need to fill out the form again. And I know that sometimes people get confused about that, but think about it. I mean, like you get 15 words for one ad and you get 60 words for another. If it's a print catalog, there are different things we need for the images, for the cover. There's a lot of different things to consider for each program. So recognize that you'll be doing a bit of cut and pasting from your master documents, but that's always helpful to sort of like prepare things in advance and then put them into the form. I want to answer the question I'm seeing from Kitty about how early do you reveal the book cover before the pub date. Because I think that one of the things as publishers that what we're all doing is that we're looking for excuses to talk about our book, right? Like imagine going to a dinner party and someone says, "Oh, what's new?" And you're like, "I'm publishing a book." That's great and interesting, but the third time you tell the same person that same thing, they're going to be like, they're going to walk away, right? Like nobody wants to feel like they're being like pushed at. So we're always looking for sort of excuses to talk about our books that are coming up. And your cover reveal is a great excuse to talk about your book coming up. So a lot of publishers and authors are doing these sort of like, even like a countdown to revealing the book cover, right? Because again, it's excuses to talk about the book, to get it in front, to try to build the buzz. So I think that you have to make your own determination of what's the perfect timing. I know certain online retailers need the final cover by a certain time. So we do have a webinar coming up that is Ty Davis, who is a member of our IBPA board of directors, is updating a webinar that she did for us a few years ago that was about the 6 months before your book launch and all the things to consider. So the older version is in the archive, but we're coming up with a fresher version of that later this year. It might be something that you might want to check in terms of figuring out, are you getting all your, are you setting yourself up for success well with those 6 months before publication?
And Lee, some people are asking, is there a way to reach the foreign agents other than using the Frankfurt Book Fair?
Yeah, so well, Publishers Weekly, the foreign agents definitely check out Publishers Weekly. So that's something else. But we are actually working with a foreign rights agency to create an opportunity for IBPA members, which we'll probably announce in the next couple of months. So March, April of 2022, look for news about an opportunity for foreign rights access and opportunities for IBPA members. You heard it here first.
Awesome. And this is from Sylvia. They have a multi-author book with Zoom interviews, like a series. They're wondering if any of our IBPA marketing programs helps promote something like their YouTube interview playlist.
I would say that the media outreach program, and you could just mention, like pitch the book and then mention that there is this YouTube playlist. But what we've found is that even though you can include the URL, having it as a hot link from a hyperlink from the email isn't really best practice. We're really trying to like channel people to request a review copy. And also there's the challenge that you can't embed a video in an email. But another thing we could do is that, remember, there was the opportunity to do images from the interior of the book in that media outreach. We could do screen captures from 3 of those videos and explain in the caption that there is this additional aspect to it. So you can email me offline, Sylvia, and we can go into some opportunities for that.
Yeah, and I'll ask that last question off of the recording. It's not directly related to IBPA programs. Everyone, thank you so much. Lee, this was incredible. I always learn from you about, not our programs, I know our programs, but just about stuff about publishing. So you've been a great mentor, and I learned a lot through your webinar here too. So thank you.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. And everybody, if you have questions, please feel free to email myself or Christopher. We work for you, right? We're a nonprofit. We are a membership association, and hopefully you're our members. If not, hopefully you'll become our members, and we're really happy to help amplify your voices, because that's the world we want to live in, where there's lots of wonderful independent things being published.
Yeah, and as I said, we both are also publishing books, so we're a great resource to talk about our experiences, and so we're happy to talk just kind of about publishing in general. So reach out to us with questions. That's what we're here for. Our marketing programs are helpful, but just ask us also about publishing. We're happy to talk about it. We know how amazing it is and how stressful it is.
And I'll just add that I have 3 books out, and one is a book that I crowdfunded and published myself, but the other 2 are published by IBPA member publishers. So I also have that insight into being an author published by an indie publisher, if that can be helpful. And Christopher, you have a series that you've published yourself. So definitely we're here to be resources for you.
Awesome. Thanks for watching, everyone. We really appreciate it. Take care. Please learn more about our programs on our website and email us if you have any other questions. I'm going to stop recording now, and then we'll answer some other questions. Thank you.
Bye.